We've been making a film about New Orleans music for the past year. The unique sounds that originated here and how they were recorded. But as winter turned to spring, we found out we were making a film about something else. Okay, we've known this was going to be a weird spring. No Easter egg hunt on the fly behind Audubon Zoo. No holiday movie releases. No competing French Quarter Easter parades. No Leah Chase smiling behind a pot of Gumbo's herbs. Strange we were expecting. But this week felt like the setup to a joke. An archbishop and a rabbi walk into an airplane hangar. Except it wasn't a joke, it really happened. One at a time, Archbishop Gregory Amond, himself newly recovered from a bout with the virus, and Rabbi Alexis Ertheim climbed into the open cockpit of a 1943 Stearman Pt.4 and flew over the city from Kenner to downtown, offering prayers for the citizens. Amond even sprinkled holy water. Took him a couple of tries before he did more than soak himself, but he got the hang of it. Nutty as that sounds, it makes perfect sense to us. Faith is central to everything here, and by central, I mean when they designed the place, they put a great big church right in the middle. Wasn't really a town then, so much as a neighborhood, but as it grew, each new neighborhood, geographic or cultural, still had a house of faith at the center. We respect faith, even faiths not our own. They give us our cultures. They give us context and understanding. Faith helps us break down what's happening. And what's happening is weird. In a lot of ways, it's a perfectly normal crazy spring. Temperatures are too high, the river's too high, the Corps of Engineers is opening the spillway and Lake Pontchartrain is getting algae blooms and we'll have more fish kills. Normal crazy. But mostly right now, we're thinking about the new crazy. The governor is forming a task force to examine why 7 out of 10 Louisianans who've died of COVID-19 are African Americans, among the highest disparities in the country. Though tourism has tanked, we did get some guests this week when the carnival ship Valor docked behind the convention center. Hundreds of workers who had tested negative for the virus were flown home to Indonesia and the Philippines, and on Saturday night, the ship was moved downriver to the Poland Street wharf, with an undisclosed number who tested positive still aboard, who will apparently continue enjoying the city's hospitality. Port officials have long been wanting to use the wharf as a cruise terminal, but this probably isn't what they had in mind. But the big story every day is the numbers dump at noon. As of Easter Sunday, the state has over 20,000 positive cases and 840 deaths, with New Orleans representing about a quarter of each. There's a possible bright spot in the awful numbers. The number of hospitalizations is growing, but that growth might be slowing, which means we may not run out of intensive care beds and ventilators. And for this week, we'll take that ray of hope. One of the many neighborhood houses of faith is First Grace United Methodist in Mid-City, a dynamic and diverse congregation with multiple missions. First Grace, like all the city's churches, has shifted to online services, and more than 17,000 people have tuned in to watch. Pastor Sean Anglem was able to spare a few minutes to talk with us about Holy Week in the time of COVID. We apologize for the audio. The shrunken but still powerful choir was practicing in the sanctuary next door.
It's very powerful. Very powerful. You know, much of Holy Week is entering the dark side of life and our own personal dark side. And it's not to judge. What I always teach is it's confessional. And when we can't confess, you know, what we've done and not done and who we need to apologize to, then we keep ourselves from the grace that God is just trying to offer us grace. But you know, if you live in a lie or if you live in the untruth, you can't get the grace, you know? How do you get forgiveness and grace if you can't, you know, accept yourself? And this is when Holy Week really invites us into a deep reckoning. You know, and the way we say it at the church was, were you there when they crucified my Lord? You know, or were you somewhere else, you know? And so bringing people into that place on Good Friday in an empty sanctuary, you feel sort of the depth of the moment. But I think also coming out of that on Easter Sunday, part of what we embrace on Easter Sunday is that there really is something wonderful, wild, and very precious going on. And Easter is an opportunity to be reminded of that.
Just a few blocks up Bayou St. John from First Grace stands Our Lady of the Rosary. Begun in 1924 and completed in 1925 and consecrated that December, the building is one of the most painted and photographed spots in the city. The friendly, close-knit congregation has had to adopt some strange new ways, but they've kept the faith this Holy Week, praying singly and attending Mass online. Every year on Holy Saturday, after the Easter Vigil, the church rings the full peal of its bells, the only time in the year when it's heard. This year, it was silent. On Sunday morning after Mass, only the 2,000-pound bass note sounded. A solitary prayer of life to come. Until next time, we wish you good health and good friends.